Welcome to Ask the Latina. I'm your host, Terry Beltran. This program is about the opportunity to ask and learn from a Latina trailblazer, with the mission to inspire and motivate Latinas to enter a career where we just do not have enough representation. For more resources, visit our website, askthelatina.com. Welcome to Ask the Latina. My guest today is Stephanie Alanis. She's an engineer, and you're going to enjoy this because we definitely have a limitation of Latina engineers in the United States, only 2%. So Stephanie is going to share with us her journey and how she became an engineer. So thank you, Stephanie. Stephanie, thank you so much for being with us. This is wonderful.
Thank you so much, Terry. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me and for this opportunity to share my journey.
Well, Stephanie, why don't you start with where you're from and your upbringing, and what were your interests when you were in school, especially high school?
Okay. Yeah, of course. I'm from Mexico City. I was born in Mexico City. I was raised in the Estado de Mexico, especially in a suburb called Ecatepec. It's like 15 miles from Mexico City. So this is different suburb that we know in United States. It's kind of the working class, like medium low class. So, unfortunately, Ecatepec is known for being dangerous, but also it's beautiful because you have a lot of culture, you have a lot of going on in there. Be too close to Mexico City, you have a lot of options in there. So, I'm come from a family of four. I'm the oldest. So I don't know, like growing with my dad, he's an accountant. I always thought that be to college and go to university, it was really natural for me. And then when I start going to high school, is something equivalent to high school, is the secundaria, the secondary
Mhm.
school. So I noticed that I was good in math. So it was something that I enjoyed, that I was challenging myself for fun, just for fun. And then the process to go to high school is kind of different than the United States. You have to submit your application, you have to put your three main options wherever you want to go.
Mm.
After that, you need to do a test, and depending on your score, you are going to get the approval to go to any of those schools you decide to choose. And then I did that, but the way I put my options, were just thinking in like, okay, I wanted a challenge. I heard about this new school that it was physics and mathematics, close to my house. It was 30 minutes commute. And I decided, okay, like everyone I say, no, it's like too hard to get in there. They have just a few spots. You have to do very well in the test, and like the classes are gonna be hard. And then I don't know, like now I realize since I was a child, I really like challenge. So I say like, really, it's too hard. Okay, let's try it. And then I put that school as my first option, and thankfully I was able to enter in that school. My interests were all over the place. I really love music. I really love to dance. So I don't know, like in that age, I just enjoyed like everything I was around, especially my family and friends. So yeah, I start high school in CECIT número 3. That is a high school where you can get actually a technical career, and then they have several options. And in that school, I choose information technology, and so it was my second exposure to computer science. So it was a really nice experience for me.
Wow, that's fantastic. I wish I had more of those here in the United States because I know Like my son went to high school and they had STEM as a program since ninth grade to 12th
Mhm.
grade, and it really helped him as far as his grade point and everything to where he is now going through engineering. But uh, they didn't have that when I was in high school here in the United States, and I don't see it too much in other public schools either. So I love the to hear the education over there and the variety and what opportunity you had, which is really good. So when you went to college, you were already prepared to go into this, or how did you decide, and where did you go to college?
Yeah, so it was kind of preparation because when I was in the secondary school, they were a class. They had a class that I decided to go. It was about computers. So, unfortunately, because I was on the public school, sometimes they have lack of so many things, right? So we didn't have a teacher for the first year. I think we have the teacher until the second year. So they start talking about computers. So about how to put the file, how to create a document, all those basic things. And I really like it. So it was very easy for me. And is where I start digging a little bit about the internet, what's going on in here. Like, is when we have the CD to connect to the internet. I wait for the connection, like 20, 10 minutes in there. So I was very curious about that. So when I was about to finish my secondary school, I went for a course. So it's a preparation course for the test because this test is very important. You have to compete with thousands of students that want to go to the next level or the next public education because it's very limited.
Mm,
So even though it's free, so you have to compete for to get your spot.
mm,
So I spent a few months getting prepared for the test. My dad provided for me, and also my mom. It was always supportive. Like she tried to push me, like, "Hey, you can do it. You can do this. You got it." Like she was my cheerleader all the time. So it was a few months where I was taking extra classes just to prepare in those specific topics like physics, chemistry, mathematics, just to get ready for the test.
wow, that's great. And so, how long did it take you to get you at a degree in information technology? Is
So it was 3 years. It was an associate degree, the one I got in the high school. It was 3 years, and it gave me the preparation to go to the next level. So for me, it will be like the process between college and the university. I know in United States you can take some classes in college to be prepared for the university,
mhm,
right? And there it was. Kind of similar because we have a major like in the last year you can choose between two different careers, and I decided information technology when I was in high school. And then so when I was about to finish, we have to prepare the second form to send it out for and apply for the university, right? And then I didn't know, like I didn't know what to study. I didn't know what was
mm,
next. I knew that I want to continue study. It was like natural for me. Like, okay, just I have to keep going because I have the opportunity, and I hear like about so many students didn't have the chance to go,
mm,
so I better take advantage of that. So I was able to talk with one of my professors, one of my teachers, and programming. So I told him, like, I was very honest, like, hey, I don't know what to study because I like programming, but I don't love it. I know how to do it, but I don't want to be staring in the front of the computer and just programming. I type in the code. And he was laughing at me like, okay, are you sure? What do you want to study? And he started showing me some options like, okay, so you have this engineering um, that you can see a lot of computer, a lot of programming classes, but you also are gonna learn about communications, about electronics, about
mm,
control and engineering. Like, okay, that's pretty interesting, and yeah, so you can decide wherever you wanna go. So you have to spend 4 years and a half in that, and then you're gonna have your degree. And I say, okay, why not? And it was a good idea that he gave me. I looked more into the more information about the career, because we were able to put, I think on that time, up to 7 options on the form, on the application form. But I decided just to put three, because I said, like, no, like, because the distance, all the commuting, the time between the school, about the careers and all that, I decided just to choose three to four options in there. And then also I took a short course, because I said, like, no, like, it's gonna be a lot, like, to study. I'm gonna take a small course and just prepare for the next level. Mhm.
Wow. Wow, sounds pretty cool. And, so when you completed that, what did you have any internships, or where did you go next, or did you just start working, utilizing your skills?
Yeah, so I didn't have any internship, to be honest. I wasn't very into it, and maybe I didn't have a lot of information,
Mhm.
to be honest, out there. But thankfully, my dad always provided. My mom and my dad, they always were always be there for me, like, provide everything I have. Even like, we have the resources, like in the public schools, you have the library, you have wherever you go,
Mhm.
and you sometimes you have to do copies for from the book, so you can to find your own resources, right?
Right.
But yeah, I didn't have a scholarship, but I was looking around just to find in the university some conference that they have about the engineering field, about all the careers they have. So I talked with my father and my mom and just asked them to go over there. Like, I want to see what are the engineer looks like. I want to see this. I want to see that. So I was to this expo, about to this conference, and it's where I got a little more of information. Like, to be honest, it's not a lot over there. Like, it's not a lot that you can see, but at least I have an idea, like, about the classes, about how long I have to spend, about how hard supposed to be the classes. And again, it was a challenge for me, so I just decided to go from there. Like, okay, I wanna go to this school, I wanna go to this university, and thankfully I was able to go to the National Polytechnic Institute.
Yeah.
So, and then, yeah, it was well known for engineering. Like,
Yeah,
UNAM is well known for all psychology, medicine, and all that. For Polytechnic is well known for engineering. So I was very excited to start my journey in the university.
that's pretty cool. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's great. So you got the engineering. Sounds like you did really good when you had challenges. You went for it. So that's amazing. And I'm not sure what it's like in Mexico. Wait, is there more Latinas in the field, or is it kind of limited like here?
I think it's the same. It's kind of limited. I think when I start in high school is when I start seeing, like, less women in the classroom.
Mm,
Like, even when we start the first year of high school, maybe we were like 10 girls in the classroom,
mm-hmm.
and then at the end of the associate degree, maybe they were like 30 from all careers, and it got even worse in the university. Like, I think on my class we start like maybe 11. We were 11 of 49 in the class. But at the end, I was remembering yesterday the picture. At the end, we have how you call it, like
Class picture or
the class picture. Well, it was from all the classes, right? All
the
the
graduation?
majors. The graduation picture, and then we were around 17 girls or 17 women, and it was like 200 guys in the picture. So it was interesting. It was
Wow.
a really noticeable number
Yeah.
in there. Yeah, so like maybe just the 30% of us, I think, is where we can see the difference. Not many women
Yeah.
engineers.
So, okay, when you graduated, then where did you go from there?
Okay, like I started a little bit before my graduation because I did an internship in a radio station in Mexico. It's called IMER. So it's a national station, and they have really great studios. Like I think they have the biggest studio in Latin America.
Mm,
So I have the chance to work in there to do some recording.
nice.
So because in the last 2 years of my career in the university, you have the chance to pick up a major. So I studied communications and electronics engineering, but my minor is in acoustics. So when I decided to take this minor, it was like I want to do this. I want to work in television, or I want to go to radio. So I start looking for opportunities in radio. Yeah, I got my opportunity in radio. I was very happy because I was the first woman in that internship. They on that time they took a break to have an interns on the radio, but thankfully they accept me. So I spent the internship supposed to last 6 months, but we were we become really good friends with all the staff, and they were very welcoming. I ended spending like a year and a half in that internship, like just working with them. And then, so in parallel of that, on my minor, I have the chance to have this teacher. Um, she wasn't formally my mentor, but she was a role model for me
Mm,
because she was the only woman in the area, maybe in the school
mhm,
of engineers. She has a PhD, and she had a lot of trouble, but she was always looking to give opportunities to students.
mm,
So she did this expo is called Expo Acústica. So it was an expo where she invited like some vendors from audio and acoustics to come to work with the students. So we have this expo every year, and I participate in the last 2 years. So I connect with some companies like Shure, from it's a brand from for microphones, and Heiser, and all big brands.
yeah,
So I start working with them. They were call me after the expo in the school, and they start calling me to help them or work with them in the World Trade Center, in another expos in Mexico City. So it's where I started gain experience, and it was my first exposure to the professional field. And between all that and my last months, TV Azteca, it was a major television in Mexico. So they did a recruiting, mm, I will say, like fair. They stopped by in the school, and they just were recruiting for some engineers. So I remember that day I arrived late. I think it was like 15 minutes before the the meeting finished. And then they were just taking the application and all the information. So I just put my resume in there and just say hi to some classmates and left. And then they called me a few weeks later
wow.
to have a training with them. They did some interviews. It was like really scary for me because it was my first interview, like professional interview. And between, I think, out of like 300 students that we submit our applications,
Mhm,
uh, pick up 17 students to start the training with them. So I spent a few months working in Tibesteca. My main idea, it was about working as an audio engineer. And all the studios, recording the novellas, all the live programs they have, all the everything that they have going on in the TV.
Yeah.
But my manager on that time, Felipe Ceballos, it was the broadcast manager, and he said like, you know what, why did you try go to this, yeah, audio is gonna be there, but you have to try to learn about everything else, about the transmission, how to receive signals, about
Mm.
everything we have in broadcasting. And if you don't like it, it's okay, you're gonna go back to audio, but just try it. And I was like, oh my god, really, I want to be there, I want to go to the concerts and all that just to have fun, right? But I say, okay, let's try it. So it was a really great experience. I was working with them for a few months, but I think after my graduation, like maybe 4 months after I was graduated, I received an opportunity to start working in a consulate of Mexico in Dallas.
Wow.
So it was surprise for me. Like just the idea to go to a different country, like everyone wanna come to United States. It was really amazing. But at the time, I was kind of sad. Like like I'm working in a file that I really like. I'm working in a TV. I'm working in the radio. So I don't know if I wanna go. So it was a really difficult decision for me. So, as I mentioned, I didn't have a formal mentor, but I really like ask questions. So I went and asked for a 15 minutes to my manager, like, hey, do you have a moment? And yeah, sure. Like, okay, so they are offering me this job. What do you think? Like, I'm really happy here. I want to do my career, and maybe in broadcasting. I want to see what are your thoughts. And he said like, no, go for it, just do it. Like everyone wanna do it. Like, do you see this? Like, not everyone has this opportunity
Yeah.
because they are gonna give you the visa, they're gonna pay for this, blah blah blah. So they give me all the benefits, and I was like all sad and mad because maybe I did one that they say like, no, don't go, we're gonna have you here or something like that. But again, he was really nice, and he said like, no, just take it. Like if you don't like it, don't worry, you're gonna have your job here. So it was like maybe comforting for me, like to hear him. And also I shared with the other two managers that I was working in Shure and in the radio, and they told me the same thing. Like, what are you thinking? Like, just take it. It's a great opportunity. Like, you really? And I said, okay. And then I say yes to the offer. I talked with my family, maybe 2 weeks before I moved, because they start the process to give me a visa. And maybe I told my parents like, "Hey, I got a new job," and they were very excited. But I'm moving. It's in Texas,
Wow.
and they were like, "Really? Like, what's going on?" But yeah, it was a big change. But yeah, it was a great opportunity to be working at the consulate. So it is what happened after my graduation.
That is fantastic. I love all your experience. It was one thing that broadcast engineering is pretty fun. I'm glad you did go into that. And Shure is a great, if no one might not know it, but maybe some podcasters and people know it about it now, but it's one of the best microphones for podcasts and for everything else and for musicians. So Shure is a well-known brand worldwide. So that's a pretty great experience. And Azteca, well, as Latinos, we see those telenovelas, so we know we remember that a lot. So you had a really great experience, and what a great opportunity to get to work with the consul and come over here. So you moved to Dallas. Is that where it was?
Yeah, I moved to Dallas in Texas, and I started working as a system engineer. So it was a really big shock for me. I don't know, like it was not just the culture, like moving to a different country,
Mm-hmm.
but it was seeing my culture from a different perspective.
Hmm.
Like coming from a public school, coming from the suburbs or medium low class. So you like the idea of working with diplomats or in a place like most of the people are coming from private schools or from and there are mm, relatives of politicians or they have referrals over there, so it was really shocking. So it was kind of adjustment for me, but it was great because I also gained a lot of experience. I have the opportunity to learn more about my culture in another country because I helped the team to start rolling the little project that is called Consulate of Wheels. Maybe you heard about
Yeah.
that. So it's where we were looking for some locations about the Metroplex area. So we have like a little office in a different location every day. So I was the
Nice.
one doing the network, putting the server, doing the connection, making sure all the information got to Mexico, put it back,
Mm,
and just to give the passport, any documents, the matricula or the ID that we're using here
mhm,
uh, for all the Mexican citizens in the United States. So it was great because I had the opportunity to learn about my people in a different country, about all the challenges, about also the diplomatics, all the governments and politics that we have from a different perspective. So it was an amazing opportunity. It was challenging. And after that, in between, I start thinking, oh, well, the main reason I took this job is because I wanted to learn English, right? Because English, learning another language has always been kind of challenging for me. But I tried to look for some ESL classes. I started looking for some ESL classes. And then I found this college, a community college, where I started taking ESL classes for 8 months.
mhm.
And but it was really funny because I took the classes, but I didn't have the chance to just practice, right? Because everyone in the consulate speaks Spanish, and then it was kind of difficult. But yeah, after that, I have the chance, the opportunity to be promoted as a manager. So I moved to California, the consulate of Fresno in California.
Mhm,
So also in there, working in IT. Um, and start doing some management, some work also for working with the providers, getting the budgeting, the annual budget for the consulate or the technology we use at the consulate and all that. So it was like very enriching experience.
mm. That sounds great. Definitely, it's different from being in broadcasting, working for the console, but yes, you're right. You did get to see a lot of the cultural things going on, all the work that they do as a console here, probably. And that. So, when you went
Yeah.
to California, was it with a different console or the same one?
It was a consulate in Mexico, yeah, but it's in a different location. So it was in this one, it was in Fresno, and the previous one in Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, in Dallas it was in the consulate of Wheels, but after that I was assigned to a specific location, and we have another engineer that was doing my previous job, like the consulate on Wheels.
Mm.
So it was the main difference. But you mentioned that like the broadcasting or maybe the audio engineering, but I never left it. I never stopped doing it. Like even I start working as a freelance whenever I have the chance. Even in Dallas, I went around, tried to meet some people, uh, just talk to them, and I say like, "Hey, I really like your music. Can I help you with the audio?"
Ah,
Or can I do the audio engineering? So I was freelancing with with some local bands.
good.
Yeah, yeah, so whenever I have the chance, I go looking for a band. Yeah, so in between, I just started working in my ESL classes and then start looking into how translate or revalidate my career in the United States,
Mhm,
because at the time I didn't have a lot of information in there. Like I was asking around, even in the college, in the community college, and they didn't give me a lot of information. So I was afraid because I was told that I have to study again in order to my engineering. It was valid in United States. So, but thankfully, in that transition, I didn't give up. I started looking for more options, and I found a way to revalidate my career in the United States.
That's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know in IT, or at least like in other fields, you like especially in medicine, you need to have a license or in finance, but I don't think too much in engineering as long as you can replicate your skills and is that correct or am I wrong?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Like they have to evaluate your transcript depending on how many credits you have.
Mm,
You have to go with a global evaluation or credential evaluator,
mhm,
and then from there I think depending on your GPA and your credits, you are gonna see if you have to take more classes because it is a range of the credits you have to have in order to get a valid credentials for
mhm,
engineering. I'm not sure. I don't want to give wrong information, but I think it's supposed to be between 120 and 130 credits. But I have to look into that
mhm,
just to confirm, but thankfully I have a little more credits that the ones they were requesting, so they were able to evaluate my credentials. I didn't have to take any other classes, and yeah, as you mentioned, there is some tests for a specific like specialization or
yeah,
like
I know in broadcast engineering there is a license test usually.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to take also for electric engineering, like there
Yeah.
are specific tests that you have to, I mean, tests that you have to pass in order to get your certification.
Hmm,
But I think it's also depending on your experience because if you can show your experience, it is depending of the company that is hiring.
right.
If they are gonna ask you for the test of the score of your test, or it's just gonna take it from when your resume.
Wow, that's great. So you went from Texas to California, and are you still in California? Or where'd you
No,
go?
I moved. I moved. So yeah, I was living in Fresno in California for a while, and then I moved to Visalia because I started working with the police department in Visalia. So yeah, when I felt that I needed like just be exposure to learn the language and just have an opportunity, so I submitted my application. I got the job, thankfully, and I moved to Visalia. And then I moved to Denver because I applied for a different job where I am right now in Denver. So working with Amazon.
Oh, that's cool. Well, let's back up to the police station. What did you
Oh,
do for
sorry.
them as far as IT goes? I'm interested.
Yeah, so in there, it was also technical support. So I was working with dispatch, with the fire and police department mainly, just all the technology devices they have. So just to do preventive maintenance, to fix the computers, the troubleshooting they have with the system, like when you call to 911, so everything going on the system, I was able to troubleshoot and help.
Wow.
So I was there for a while, and it was amazing opportunity because I mentioned it was my first exposure, like to a different culture. Like after so many years, like working at the consulate, it was um, it was a different experience, and I was really happy because I was the first woman they have in the department. So it was all excited. They were all excited. I have a coworker that came from Peru,
Yeah.
yeah, it was the only one. So he said like, yeah, another Latino. So he told me like, you have to do well, right? Because you are gonna represent your country. Like, yeah, you got it. I'm gonna do the best I can. Yeah, but it was amazing working with the police and fire department. They were really great co-workers. They value our work. At the beginning, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm not doing an impact, or maybe I need something else, right? But I have the chance to talk with one of the fire professionals. And when I'm sorry. He told me like, you know what? Like it's very important the things you are doing for me. Like just calibrating my computer or working in my computer and do this and do that because this is the tool I need and my life depends on this. Whenever I'm going to a fire, like when I was like really, and he said yeah because if this application doesn't work, just to see where when I have to isolate what gonna need to do or what system I have to put, like my life is in risk. And I was like, wow, like yeah, it does have a big impact for people.
Wow.
So and that's when I started learning like, hey, okay, I have to put more value in my job.
That's amazing because it goes to show how diversified your skills that you studied can be. Going into broadcasting, doing audio, working for bands and helping them with their audio mixing, going to the police, working for a consul. So it's beautiful to be diversified, and it shows that your skills are transferable to these different areas. There's so much open there. So you're now in
Yeah,
Colorado.
yeah, now I'm Colorado. Yeah, yeah, and I am now working with Amazon. I'm working in a fulfillment center in Colorado. It's called SSD, like sub same day delivery. So whenever you order something to deliver in the same day, there is the place that they have to come from.
Oh.
So it's really fast environment. Like it's open 7 hours a day. Like it's going all the time.
Mhm,
So you have to be very careful about what are you gonna do, about the projects, about the vision, and what you're gonna implement, and especially in the communication that you have with your team and with the managers. So as you mentioned, I think for me, all those different experience from different fields are being very important because I know the value about people, I know the value about the customers, but especially I know the value of my work, of my job. So that's very interesting. And as you mentioned, like it's transferable. You can do whatever you want. I see now that going to university or going to college is more as a tool that you can use just to have um, a better vision, a different point of view. Like it will open your eyes.
mhm,
Like yeah, you can do money without go to college. You can do money without go to university, or you don't need that degree for to do that.
mhm,
But to have a different perspective, I think college or education in general help you to have a better mindset. Maybe not better, but a different mindset to understand or be exposed to different things, different values, different um, kinds of thoughts, because every mind is a different work. So it's like millions of ways to do the same thing. So it's just a way to start building your own assets, your own skills, and just to have the tools to apply it. Because yeah, now I can see like I was very thankful to study like communications and electronic engineer. At the beginning, when I started working in IT, I was kind of worried because I was afraid, like, no, I'm not gonna apply my knowledge in here. So why I did study this if I'm not applying it here? But and then I realized that everything that I learned in school, somehow I'm applying it in different parts of my life. So right now, working in Amazon, even I have the chance to give more ideas about the PA, like the audio, how to avoid like illness in the ears because you have a lot of hours in exposure, like with high level sounds.
mhm.
So I'm sharing this with my colleagues or my managers. Oh, maybe we can improve this. We can do that. So just giving ideas because I have the base, or maybe I have the knowledge, and I can share with others. I think education is just a tool.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah, with Amazon, there's so many different areas. It sounds like you're with Audible, or is Audible part of Amazon? It is, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, well, yeah, it's Audible. It's another part, but right now in the fulfillment center is where I'm working out. But yeah, there is a lot of going on with Amazon. It's like a big,
Yeah,
big world of
yeah, even
opportunities.
going to the moon.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and probably this time of year is very busy, no matter where you are, because of the what
ex-
they, what they're known for as far as getting all these orders to the right place before Christmas. That is
exactly,
so cool.
exactly. And all the technology they have involved is amazing. Just to see how they doing with artificial intelligence, all the robots, like the workflow they have. It's pretty cool. Like to know like what is the engineering behind. It's like pretty interesting. Like it's something is worth to see, and it's rewarding state of my life that I'm seeing like part of these little things that I learned in school that now I can see how we can apply it.
Oh, that's great. That's so great. So if you were to go back in time when you were, in what we call secondary school, it's high school, what would you do differently now that you've gone through this great journey?
Um,
Or what advice would you give yourself? Either one.
yeah, like maybe be proud about where you're coming from. Like you don't have to change for everyone. You don't have to fit for um, for the things that are going on around. How you look, what you're supposed to think, what you're supposed to do. Like those things, I don't think it matters. I think the values you have from home is something that you have to keep always, and it doesn't mean that I changed, but I think when we are in high school is where we are like trying to fighting like just to define ourselves where we belong, where gonna be in a few years, who are gonna be. So maybe just put together all those thoughts and enjoy the time because everything has a way. Everything is gonna work out. Like it doesn't matter how hard you can see it when you are in high school or when I was in high school. It's always a way to do it better. It's always a way to overcome to that challenge.
That's great. That's great advice. Good. And even though you didn't have mentors, it sounded like you had some really good folks that you got to work for that gave you great advice. That you had
Yeah,
opportunities and everything. So, you know, way kind of got pushed out of something you were hoping they'd say no.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So it was like now that I'm thinking, they were my formal mentors, but yeah, they were there. They were great people. I was very lucky to have them in my life, to meet them and be working with it. Especially my teacher, the Dr. Itzala. I think it was a great role model. Even though she didn't tell me like do this, do that, just the way she used to act. Maybe she was a rebel, but she didn't accept a no. She always find a way, and I think it is something that I admire about her. And maybe it is something like I wanted to try. Maybe I have that spirit, like maybe just to try to find a way to do something. So it was very important
Yeah.
for me.
Well, the most important thing is you did it, you took the risk, and that's really the most important thing. So you took the risk, and the more you do this, who knows where you'll be next. But all these things really are great because you're building up your skills. But not only that, it's probably a lot of fun too because you're learning something and you enjoy what you do. I can tell. So especially you're still doing dabbling. I mean, you never let go of the audio. I'm sure you're probably working with some band or somewhere on the side. I would say.
Yeah, and it was amazing. Yeah, maybe it is why I was like, no, I don't know. I want to take the other job. Yeah, but it's always that you have to take those opportunities like, and maybe the other recommendation I will do to myself is just learn about emotional intelligence.
Mm.
It's very important. I think it will save lots of hours, lots of stress in our journey, like if I would know more about emotional intelligence, not just as in my personal life, but in the professional life, I think you will handle everything better. I think is something that I will say
Mm.
to
Yeah, that's great
my job.
advice. Definitely.
Mhm.
Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for sharing your journey. I know you inspired our Latinas in high school, and anyone who's listening to is considering, what to do. But I love how you shared, basically, not only communication in engineering or in, information technology, but also broadcasting engineering, audio engineering. So I love all that mix. It was wonderful to listen to that and your skills. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Terry. Thank you for this opportunity. And if anyone wants to contact me, I will be open to do it. I can send my information. I will be happy to help.
Yeah,
Thank you.
definitely. As soon as we opened up our mentoring to Latina high schools, loved for you to be part of that and, be an opportunity for any questions and answers that they might have themselves because, someone like you is a role model that they'd never be able to see otherwise. And that's wonderful about
Oh,
media, as you and I know. Media does bring a lot to us, which is good.
oh, thank you so much for your work. I really appreciate it. And of course, let me know as soon as it's ready. I'm going to be up to that.
Okay, thank you. Well, this
Thank you.
concludes our episode of Ask the Latina. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you.